was a hoax. She also claimed that Barack Obama was a Muslim. She claims that the Clintons are guilty of murder, specifically that John F. Kennedy's death and Jr.'s death in 1999, which was the result of an unfortunate plane crash, the fault of the Clintons. She has endorsed a seemingly endless array of hate speech or conspiracy theories, explicitly rooted in Islamophobia and anti-Semitism and the belief that government actors are secretly behind a wave of violence. She has endorsed executing Democratic lawmakers, including Nancy Pelosi, writing posts with the headlines including, quote, "Must read, the Democratic Party is involved with child sex, Satanism, the occult." She argued that in the 2018 midterm elections, in which the first two women were elected to the House, that this was part of an Islamic invasion of our government. In October 2020, a video surfaced from Mother Jones in which he said the only way you can get your freedoms back is through the price of blood. She has repeatedly claimed in multiple videos and social posts that several school shooting massacres were false flags, events perpetrated by government officials in an attempt to drum up support for gun control laws. In 2018, Mrs. Greene accosted David Hogg, who I met, by the way. He was a high school senior in 2018 at Parkland, Florida, at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. In that 2000, he was a survivor of the 2018 school shooting there. He was on Capitol Hill to lobby for gun laws. And in her videos at CNN on Earth This Week, Mrs. Greene followed this 18-year-old high school senior through the, as he was walking to the steps of the Capitol, calling him and harassing him and accusing him, calling him a coward and accusing him of using kids for his own personal political agenda. By the way, that took place during the afternoon. What took place, in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School took place on February 14, 2018. Jewish students and staff were among the 17 people who were killed when that entered that school. 5 of them were Jews. Among them were freshmen Jamie Gutenberg and Alyssa Alladep, the senior Meadow Pollock, student Alex Schachter, and Scott Bagel, a geography teacher who saved students' lives by closing the door as he died. Alyssa actually went to Reform Movement's Camp Coleman. A colleague of mine buried several of these people. But that's not all. That's not all. A friend of mine, a local congressman, was recently elected to Congress, and when she got there on the first day after the swearing in, she went over to greet on the other side, and she happened to run in to Mrs. Greene. And she said, "My family, I have 3 children, and I'm new here, and I just wanted to introduce myself to you." And the response from Mrs. Greene, "I can't tell you about my family now. I'm too upset. They're not allowing me to take a gun on the floor of the United States Congress." And the thing that really drove me off, folks, was that in 2018, it just came out 36 hours ago, she suggested that a wildfire in the state of California was started by a Jewish laser beam that was controlled by the banking family, the Rothschilds, and that they had powerful Democrats. Finally, my friends, yesterday the Republican Jewish coalition disavowed this congresswoman in a statement saying it was working with House Republican leadership regarding the next steps. Republican Jewish Coalition then proceeded to say, quote, he repeatedly has used offensive language in long online video diatribe, promoted bizarre political conspiracy theories, refused to admit a mistake after posing for photos with a long white supremacist. It is unfortunate that she failed in her election, despite terrible record. My dear friends, what concerns me about her is it reminds me of the medieval blood libels against Jews. In medieval times, when a child died sometime around Passover, it got out, or a legend was created, that Jews had actually killed this Christian child in order to take the blood out of his body, which was a necessary ingredient for us to make Passover matzah. And as soon as that libel got out, in town after town, the first was in 1148, in town after town, Jews and Jewish communities, Jews were murdered, Jewish communities were destroyed. But it also reminds me of the Black Plague. The Black Plague took place from 1348 to 1351 in Europe. 1/3 of the population of Europe died during the Black Plague. 1/3 died. But for the Jews, it was a double whammy, because we either died from that plague or we died because we were accused of poisoning the wells and of causing the Black Plague. And it's interesting to me, or it's challenging to me to think, will it be long? God forbid, 1,000 million times. Will it be long before those who deny the Holocaust and anti-Semites will start blaming the coronavirus on Jews or someone else? This week there was an article, a wonderful article written by Rev. Joshua Hammerman on this topic, in which he said, quote, Holocaust denial is the canary in the coal mine of Orwellian doublethink, all fake news, in that it not only defies all standards of empirical science and rejects meticulously documented history, which any act of historical denial might do, but in this case, doing so also attempts to whitewash the greatest moral crime ever perpetrated. There is, and there has been, a greater, more bald-faced lie than the denial of the Holocaust. So today, Jake, I ask your forgiveness for talking about this. I would have much rather talked about what I planned to talk about. But I'm talking to you folks here, because this is really serious. And it's not just Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's all those who elected her and all those who believe like her. And this is what it's all about, folks. This is the time. This is the time that we have to be in touch with our congresspeople. We have to let them know. We have to let them know, as Jews, as Americans, as decent human beings, that we stand against made-up lies, stand against conspiracy theories. As Americans and Jews, we will not tolerate anti-Semitism coming from elected. And as Americans and decent human beings, we will affirm that we stand for democracy, we stand for truth, we stand for compassion, justice, and peace. Friends, my dear friends, this Shabbat, the time is now. On this Shabbat, the time is now. And the task is yours, and the task is mine. The time is now. Task to fight lies, racism, bias, bigotry, anti-Semitism. To fight for justice, compassion, and peace. The time, my friends, is now. Now. Shabbat Shalom. We are now going to continue with the reading of the Torah. Give me the other cue. Okay.
Friends, Torah indeed is a tree of life. Our tradition teaches that the world relies on three things. It relies on what we study. It relies on the prayers that we have and our hopes. But it also relies on our action and our voices. We sing together, Al Shlosh Rim Ha'olam Omed, the world indeed depends on those three things.